Hello and welcome once again to Kingdom Life Conversations. I am Enike Omoaka. I trust you've been getting blessed. I'm looking forward to your engagements, questions, reactions and all. Today we're looking at intimacy as the strength of faith. Intimacy as the strength of faith. In the book of Daniel chapter 11 verse 32, the B part says, "But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits." You cannot get intimate without knowing. Knowledge brings you into intimacy, and intimacy also brings you into knowledge. It works both ways. The more we strive to know God, the more we become intimate with Him. And the more we become intimate with Him, the more we understand His character, His person, His dispositions, what He can do and what He cannot do. And that will go a long way to strengthen our faith. We must understand that our faith in the Lord is very necessary, as it is one thing that helps us please the Lord. Hebrews 11:6 says, "Without faith, it is impossible to please God." And everyone who is a Christian really, really wants to please God. I believe you desire to please God. And you cannot please God if your faith is not in place. And for your faith to be in place, there must be intimacy between you and the Lord. What is intimacy? Intimacy means deep fellowship. It is closeness, personal connection, deep communion. It is not on the surface. It requires a level of privacy. It's not something that is on the outside. It's something that is on the inside. So God doesn't want us to just be outward seekers. He wants us to come into the inner chambers, into the inner courts, the Holy of Holies, to be alone with Him. Faith is not just a tool we use for acquiring things. It is actually a result of our trust in God, our knowledge of God. The more intimate we get with God, the stronger our faith is. Real faith thrives in the soil of personal fellowship. There are people you would be told things about. You hear somebody say, "Okay, please could you do this for me?" Or, "I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. You say, "I know him. Don't wait for him." There are other people, when they say, "I'm going to come through," you say, "I know that guy. If he says so, he'll do it." So it is our knowledge of God, how close we relate with God, that will go to strengthen our faith. How do we cultivate intimacy? 3 ways I'll give. They are more than that. We cultivate intimacy by the study of the Word, by prayer, and by worship. There are more ways, but I'm just leaving them to these 3. When you begin to study the Word, you are getting to sit before God and let God tell you about Himself. When you begin to pray, you are opening up communication and speaking to God things that He has said about Himself. And in that same time of speaking to Him, you are also going to hear God speak to your heart, and you are going to get into a place of talking and hearing, listening and talking and all that. And it will go a long way to make your connection and your communion with God deeper. And in the place of worship, He gets magnified. He becomes real to you. So intimacy can be cultivated when we engage such practices. Why it's important for us to build intimacy is because most of the times we try to build our faith in the face of crisis. And that's a late time to build your faith. Your faith should be built before crisis, not inside of crisis. The God you don't know, I'm not saying it's impossible to build your faith inside of a crisis, but the God you already knew before crisis, when you know God before crisis, it becomes easier for you to walk above the storms, to stay afloat. But in the midst of a crisis, in the midst of a storm, there will be anxiety, there will be fear, there will be confusion, that if you are not careful, it could drain you. One thing that fuels our intimacy would be obedience. The more we obey God, the more we get closer with Him. The more we disobey Him, the more we hinder room for intimacy. These words may look few, may not look as deep as you may have expected, But then I trust God by His Spirit to magnify these words in our hearts. And till I come your way again, stay blessed. Shalom.